Good afternoon, everyone. It's Captain Chandler with your police department, and I am here with City Manager Kenny Martin with his Live with Kenny interactive update for the community that we do weekly every Friday afternoon. So this is a great way for our community to join in just to learn all the good details that we have happening within the community. And of course, right now we have COVID-19 precautions, tornado cleanup, and updates with all of our businesses and parks, greenway activities, and of course, all the good news in between. So if you're joining, give us a like, give us a heart sign, give us a wow face. Cheryl, thank you for watching. We see you've joined in. If anyone else wants to leave a comment that they're joining us, please feel free to do so throughout the presentation. This is an interactive presentation. It should be two-way communication. Of course, you can leave the comments and we can respond to you via video from our offices. So thank you so much for joining. As you know, this week has been National Police Week, and today is National Peace Officers Memorial Day. So we brought in Chief James Hambrick to join us with the live update this week, and we're glad to have you, Chief, joining us. And thank you for being here.
You're welcome, and thankful for the invite to participate with you guys again. And again, will forever be here in Mount Juliet. Just this date and this time of Police Memorial Week means so much in the sacrifice of life for our Sergeant Sgt Monday and Deputy John Music, and what forever, it'll be forever in our hearts and our minds here at our department and at our city. And so this week, we're grateful for the prayers and for the outpouring of support for each one of us, law enforcement across America and the world. And when you look at the memorial in Washington, D.C., I mean, you look at almost 22,000 members and names on that wall. And so this past year, we've had 147 deaths in Tennessee, in the United States, and we try to look at something about under 100. It's training that we do to try to get the line of duty deaths under 100. And unfortunately, this year already, and we have about 77 across the nation, line of duty deaths. And as this outbreak and pandemic that we've had, it certainly has impacted the way we honor our men and women who have given their lives in law enforcement because they can't go into DC like they normally do. The different vigils and things that we normally have can't take place like we've been doing, but we still want to take time and honor those who have given their lives and sacrifice and service to our communities across this nation. So I want to just put in perspective with the COVID-19 going on, out of those 77 deaths this year in America, 38 have been from COVID-19.
Wow. And Kenny, I know this hits at your heart. You were a police chief when we lost Sergeant Sgt Monday and Deputy John Music in 2003. How do you reflect on Sergeant Monday?
Well, I love Jerry. A lot of people don't realize, of course, the three guys on the screen today, Captain Chandler and Jerry, we all worked with him and Johnny. Jerry and I actually went to the police academy together, and we, at that particular point in our careers, I think we'd spent about 13, 14 years together. So I just remember it as being extremely traumatic, heart-wrenching, by far the worst thing that's ever happened to our community and happened to our police department. And, we promised the family when that tragedy happened that we'd never forget. And, I tried to continue that through my tenure with the police department. And I know that Captain Chandler and Chief Hambrick and the entire team at the police department and our community, they've continued that. And I think you can see it throughout our community. And we made promises that we would only continue to work hard to make our community more safe and a better place for people to raise their families and live in. And I hope people have been proud of what we've accomplished. But that's what I remember most. And we love him. We love the family and continue to pray for them daily.
Yeah, we continue to honor the legacy. 10 police officers have died in Wilson County in the history of records. Two of those, of course, are Sergeant Monday and Deputy John Music, and most recently was Joe Bowen out of Lebanon, Police Department. Of course, this week, the community may have seen our clock tower, the Town Center clock tower. It's shining blue in honor of law enforcement officers nationwide, just to remember them, to continue our support for the families who have lost their loved ones. And we just continue to pray and Godspeed to all the law enforcement officers who continue to serve, that they continue to stay safe.
That's right.
It's one of the things I think of, and I'll just chime in here real quick, is especially you two with the police department, is we know Jerry and Johnny be extremely proud. Jerry started out like I did. We got hired basically right at the same time. And we remember back in the humble days of the Mount Juliet Police Department, the city of Mount Juliet, and you look at how far this police department's come, now to have our very own fire department and other emergency services. And my personal opinion is, I guess some people say I'm a little partial, but I don't think you'll find a better police department or fire department emergency services in the country, because I know the men and women that serve, and we see that every day, and I just could not be prouder. And sometimes when you're around something and you see it every day, you don't really realize how great it is until you get the opportunity to go somewhere else. I wouldn't change the world for what we've got here, and I know that Jerry and Johnny would be extremely proud of what we've all accomplished, and much of that comes as a result of those two fine gentlemen.
I will say this, it's one thing that the police department, that we never forget, and we know that, but we're blessed to live in this community where our leadership by our city manager, you can, and our elected officials, and our city at large, our community won't forget. And so it's very supportive, and the outpouring that we have, especially during this time of the year, and in July with the actual anniversary date of the death of Jerry and John. So we're just blessed, man, and certainly pray for every other agency as well that impacted both in all first responders, police and fire.
That's exactly right. And while I'm thinking about it, I won't forget this. I got a note from an employee yesterday that says, "Hey, I'm not sure if I can nominate a department or even people for Employee of the Month," but just gives you an example of when you think of Johnny, you think of Jerry, you think of you guys and our employees here. What we try to hire first and foremost is good human beings, because if you hire a good human being, some of the things you can teach and some things people are born with, and some of them, like you guys, you go to school and get your educations for. But the employee that reached out to me, it was so heartfelt, and said, "I want to brag on 3 people." And that was Thomas, Adam, and Travis Taylor. And what they're bragging about is the impact they have on our police department and what all they do. And this one particular employee was saying that with the camera systems, the LARs and things of that nature they've been working on recently, that if it wasn't for these 3 guys in particular in this department, a lot of what you guys do out there for us, because your expertise and all these felonies and felons that you've been catching recently, in particular since these cameras come along, what you guys predicted was exactly true. And so novices like myself, what we might not have knew about these cameras, or I call them LAR cameras, but for people out there, it's basically the traffic cameras. I think you refer to them as, not for enforcement efforts, but for catching people that shouldn't be in our community that we want off the streets. Our IT department here is second to none. And you wonder sometimes how this stuff happens, and it gave me a lot of pride, and sometimes maybe even I take things for granted, but we are so blessed in so many ways across the board in this city. I think you see it from our tornado recovery efforts. I think you see it from our COVID-19 efforts. I think you see it from the strong line winds that we had. Everything's ever happened in this community, it seems like we rise above even that of some communities that you would think would be better equipped. So I want to thank Travis Taylor and the IT department and his team for what they do, because they also come out here when you guys need them in a moment's notice. And you guys are just, I'm super thankful.
Yeah, absolutely. And with policing, you see the officers on the front lines, you see them out in the field, but no one thinks about the staff behind the scenes that keep it running. And we embrace smart policing here at the police department, investing in technology to keep this city safe. And there's people that got to keep that technology running. From our radio systems to our computer-aided dispatch systems to our records management systems to our evidence collection systems to the Guardian Shield ALPR camera system that captures so many wanted people in our community that enter our city. Just last week it caught someone from Louisiana who was a murder suspect here, and we use that technology to apprehend them. But our IT department is second to none. We do a lot with less, and that's a testament to their hard work, their knowledge, all the experience they have to keep this police department and citywide
Yeah.
moving forward so great with technology.
Yeah, and I just felt like I needed to add that in there. I know you guys feel the same way, but it's not a day that goes by that I don't get become prouder and prouder of this community. And you can't say it enough, and it sounds butchy and it sounds like it's just taught, but I really genuinely want everybody that's out there that might have an opportunity to watch this or hear it to truly know just how blessed we are. Something special is going on in this community. It has been for years, and that's only going to get better. And together we're going to get through this COVID and the storm damage and other things, and we're going to come out on the other side even better.
Great. So I want to welcome some folks that have joined in. Pam, thank you for watching. We have Mary Ann out of Florida. She says she appreciates our service, even if in Tennessee is her hometown. So I guess Mount Juliet is Mary Ann's hometown, but she's watching from Florida. So Mary Ann, I hope you're enjoying the weather and the beach. I hope it's wonderful down there. We have Beth commenting, pray for us every day. Thank you for all you do. Mr. Long chiming in that he's watching from the Del Webb community. Thank you for joining, Haney, and Sandra, the comment about thanking us for all we do. So if you have comments, mention that. Here's a comment from Beth Ann. Thank you again. We are blessed. And Yvonne, MJPD is awesome. So I hope we, as a department, as a city, that we continue to live up to those expectations of being awesome. And that's what we strive to do every day as a city, is just to be the best as we can be. Jessica dropped off lunch for us today, and we appreciate that, Jessica. I noticed a lot of those sandwiches are being ate up by the officers. So thank you so much for that. All right, Chief. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you for that message for National Peace Officers Memorial Day. I'm just going to put you backstage because I may bring you back if we have any questions about the police department. So if you don't mind, Chief, I'll just place you backstage, and we can call you up should we need you again. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
So Kenny, this week we had the drive-through COVID testing, I guess partnered with Kroger. They tested over 700 individuals at the Mount Juliet Middle School. From your perception, how did that all go?
I think it went well. Of course, you don't know going into something like that if it's going to be thousands of people or hundreds. But we understand there's a lot of folks still out there, that are at work or working from home, and it may be some odd hours. But from 8:30 to 5:30 for 3 days this week, a little over probably 150 or so people each day tested. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm thankful to Kroger. I'm thankful to our police department that helped with security and the traffic. And I'm also thankful, of course, to the Wilson County Health Department, and then some, is that we got some folks out there and got them tested. And every person we can get tested just puts us a step closer to getting a cure and a vaccine and getting past this. So it went extremely well, and I'd just like to thank all those entities. And for those that participated and were tested, I hope that the results came back negative, of course, and that these folks are healthy. And for any that may have come back positive, I hadn't heard any kind of results or anything, but we'll be praying for you for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Kroger, they're going to do it again next week. I spoke with one of the site supervisors today just to let us know as a police department, because we helped them with the traffic control, and they will be doing it again next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And we'll, of course, staff that with volunteers to ensure everything goes well. And you may have heard or seen similar comments. There are people who there's, of course, with COVID, there's different mindsets about it across all spectrums. And we value everyone's opinion, but it's also important to respect others' opinions too. So you have people who truly want to get tested, and that's why we're providing this service for the community. It's free. It's arranged locally for our community where you can drive through, so you don't have to go into a clinic to have it done. And then there's some who are totally against having the testing done, and that's okay. You don't have to go. No one's forcing anyone to go get tested. It's simply a service that we provided out there for those who feel as if they want to get tested to see if they are currently infected with the COVID-19 virus or not. So, but from what I've seen overall, the community is very appreciative that we as a city brought this in locally for them to participate in.
Captain, you couldn't have said that any better. That's exactly right. We're respectful of anybody's feelings and beliefs and how you may look at this particular situation. Our job is to provide a service, and if someone wants to partake in it, they can. We're not forcing issue on anything like that. We just want to make sure that we're addressing all of our citizens and serving them all equally across the board. And so what you said is spot on, exactly. We're trying to take care of our people And no matter where you're at and how you perceive things or don't, we're here for you. We're here to serve.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to tornado response and cleanup. I know the public works efforts are slowly winding down now. We continue to work with a couple properties to ensure they have the cleanup. And for those who have been impacted and you haven't applied yet, please ensure you apply for the FEMA Individual Disaster Assistance. It can be done online at disasterassistance.gov. But there's also a phone number you can call called the Tornado Recovery Connection. It's a local group of pastors, part of Recovery Wilson, who have banded together to ensure everyone is helped through the recovery process. There was an online portal that was taken down because of demand. It really wasn't getting the attention that it got once we first had the tornado. So they moved to a phone number, and there's a response within 24 to 48 hours if you call about any recovery question. That number is 615-270-9255. So if you still need help with recovery, call that number. Kenny, from your aspect of things, what do you think about the cleanup efforts?
I think it went great. Again, the public works, like you had mentioned earlier, sometimes those are the folks that you don't really, not that you don't mean to, but you don't think about as being first responders and essential. But these folks hit the ground running the day the tornado hit Mount Juliet on March the 3rd, and they haven't stopped since. So some of them working multiple hours of overtime and weekends, not because necessarily they want to, but well, I guess you could say they want to. But they want to serve the citizens and get these things picked up. But if we miss you for any reason and say that the contractor leaves town, our elected body had stepped up and it supplied us with a couple of grapple trucks. So even if we miss you, we'll continue to pick up those piles. If someone is late to the game, I guess you might say, and getting their debris out to the edge of the road, we'll get that. So don't worry about that. Our goal is to get people's lives back in order in every way that we can to help them and get our community looking good again. And that's the most important thing to us. And so it's going really well. I cannot believe the amount of debris that's been removed. And this company that the city contracted with has done a phenomenal job. Public Works has done a phenomenal job because we've been working in tandem with the contractor. So the trucks that you see out there are not only the trucks through the contractor and the vendor, but also our trucks as well on our team. And again, couldn't be prouder. This city has not missed a beat. Every department from one end of the city to the other has done an absolutely phenomenal job. I hope our citizens are seeing that, and I hope they're feeling really good about what they're seeing.
Sure. I'm going to put up a graphic that shows about the debris notice because we also had that storm May the 3rd, that windstorm. It was called a derecho that came through with 70-mile-per-hour winds, and there's still piles out there. So folks who are still cleaning up for that, let me put this up quick. And hopefully my sound is still here, but you can see the different guidelines in regards to the May 3rd tornado debris versus the March 3rd tornado debris versus the May 3rd debris. And of course, just make sure it's in 10 feet of the roadway, 10-inch diameter logs are smaller, less than 15 feet in length. And our crews cannot collect any root balls. And I know there are still piles of debris out there on my patrols and what I see. And just know that our public works crews are working very hard to go to each of those piles to get them cleaned up. And they will eventually get there. If somehow you feel like maybe your area was forgotten or passed up, just give City Hall a call, right, Kenny? And someone will get that attended.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if they're welcome to email me as well, and I'll put them in contact with Public Works and we'll make sure they get taken care of. But when you mentioned the root balls, you're exactly right. Some of these root balls, even for a grapple truck, are just way too heavy. And there's some huge, probably 100 and beyond year old trees. For example, I've got one down in my yard, and I bet this root ball is every bit of 15 foot tall, and the hole that it came out of is at least 10 feet deep. And, when you hire a tree contractor yourself and you're getting something like that done, it's just amazing the cost that's involved. So I want to commend our elected body for stepping up and letting us, budget the monies needed to hire this contractor. And hopefully we'll get the majority of that back through FEMA. But if we don't, the most important thing is getting our citizens taken care of.
True, absolutely. So the final topic with parks and greenways, the town center trail has it's getting close to the final stages. Do you kind of have an estimated date of when that's going to be wrapped up?
Yeah, we were hoping, we were shooting for the first part of, as the weather's went along, we were shooting for the first part of June. So, to be safe, probably the end of June, maybe middle of June. If we just get some dry weather, we're at the point now to where it's really clean up. It's pavement. It's starting to move the dirt around, putting the seed straw down, things of that nature, and buttoned up. For example, the parking lot, trailhead, as we call it, off of West Division, it's ready to go. It's just a matter of getting everything dried out enough to get it done. And speaking of that, if folks look at where the actual start of the trailhead was originally, was the RTA parking lot where the train comes and, of course, transports people either into Lebanon or into Nashville. That's going extremely well. If you go by there today, you'll see them out working. They're putting some drainage in for the pedestrian crossing that'll go from Mount Juliet Road up to the new RTA expanded parking. That's going to be beautiful when it's all said and done. Of course, the clock tower is going to be beautiful when all that's buttoned up around it. Really proud of that. Appreciate your idea there, Captain, with the changeable lighting for different functions throughout the year. When we finally get the bridge widened at I-40, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but that bridge is awesome, and there's a tie-in to the Greenway, because right now, if you try to walk across the bridge, people don't feel as safe because there's really not a pedestrian walkway on each side. Well, the new bridge, when it gets the lane added, it'll have pedestrian/bike lanes on both sides. It'll also be beautiful. If you can make a bridge beautiful, this one will be it. It'll have some decorative lighting, brick, stone, things of that nature, and some, just built-in safety, which will make that whole area a lot better. But yeah, the Greenway's coming along great. The sidewalks on Blended Parkway are coming along great. We're just about to button that project up. The sidewalk projects are starting on Highway 70. And of course, those sidewalks are going in on Woodland Place have been a wonderful addition. The phase you see there is the first phase, and there'll be additional sidewalks to come in the near future. So we're trying to make our community as walkable as possible, especially in these times when everybody's been cooped up at home. At least you can get out there and have some solidarity. You can get out and walk and enjoy this beautiful weather. Today's a beautiful day. It's windy. And so everything we're doing is for our citizens. It's to make life, it's not just to make things safe. That's our number one priority, but it's also improve the quality of life. And with all that we've all been through, as only as a city, but as a country, we all need every opportunity we can to put a smile on our faces and get some quality time.
Yeah, I specifically like the sidewalk that's going in on Woodland Place and Woodridge that connects the two schools into the neighborhood, because we always, as police officers, we see the students walking to and from school, and they're walking on the edge of the roadway. And I know that sidewalk just makes it so much safer for that student and their parents or whoever to enjoy the outdoors, to walk to school, to walk wherever, especially on that sidewalk. So it's very nice to see. And I know a lot of our elected officials are working hard to ensure our community is more walkable with our greenways, with our sidewalks. And I think we're getting a lot of grants that really pay for the overwhelming majority of the cost of this stuff. And that's nice to see too, because we're not having to take that from our community. It's free money from, I say free money, it comes from somewhere, obviously, but it comes from the state or from the feds, not from our local coffers to pay for the sidewalks and the greenways.
Yep, so well said. Just like the new signal going in, I know that'll make life easier for the police department, especially for folks that come out on Northwest Rutland and Mount Juliet Road. As you notice, it's flashing. That will soon be activated. When it goes active, it'll enable those people that are trying to come off of Northwest Rutland to do so safely, and that'll make things safer for those that traverse Mount Juliet Road as well. And speaking of safety, I've got this little mask here, and it's basically the mask I keep in my pocket. And I try to do well about wearing this everywhere I can. I don't always wear it, so I don't want to make it out that I'm perfect at it, but I'm trying. But if anybody's out there that doesn't have a mask, I'm not sure if you have any at the police department. We got from the health department, but we have some here at City Hall. So if someone didn't get a mask, we were able to get quite a few from the health department that they got through the state of Tennessee. They're free of charge. You're welcome to stop in anytime, Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And they're here in the lobby. If we run out, we'll reach back out to the health department. But our thing, again, is if you don't feel comfortable wearing a mask, that's entirely up to you. Nobody here is forcing anyone. Of course, we're strongly encouraging it simply because there's so many unknowns about this, the COVID-19, that no matter how hard we try, we just don't have all the answers. So
sure,
it didn't hurt to be extra cautious and respectful of others, and vice versa. So if you need a mask, come see us here. But try to get outside if you can. Enjoy some vitamin D and some sunshine. Get you a little bit of exercise in, even if it's just peaceful time. I noticed passing one of our parks today that our swings were full, and just nice to see people out and able to vent in some of these places that that we've built, even if it's just a swing here by City Hall, just so you can get out and relax.
Yeah, good deal. I want to mention some safety thing about the Greenway. I'm going to bring in Chief in too, because it's something we're working on as a police department. But we have this Stay Off the Tracks campaign. We were notified by the Music City Star how they noticed a adult with 2 kids on the tracks, and they noticed another time 2 other adults walking on the tracks at a separate time, and that's of course dangerous to the train because they have to apply their emergency braking, and they definitely don't want to hit anyone that's walking on the tracks. It's trespassing to walk on there. So we have this Stay Off the Tracks campaign going on social media where we're just continuing to promote, the tracks are no place to play. And we think it's happening because the Greenway is not really open yet. And so people are walking around the closed sections of the Greenway that is not completed, or there's no bridge there, and they're walking on the railroad tracks to get around. But we really don't want people walking on those tracks. Chief, do you have anything to add?
Well, some of the things that was, with pedestrians and with some of the workers in the area, and as it was stated, they really underestimate how fast that train is going when it's coming through. And so again, as the city manager said, and you've stated, it's about safety, and we want to protect our community and keep our community safe, and just being real cautious about, it's a great, going to be a great greenway. It's going to be a great addition to our city, but safety is paramount, and we don't want to start off with anything happening on that greenway to put any kind of damper on anything. And so we will be monitoring it, as you stated, and keep putting those PSAs out to inform our community.
Yeah, and the Greenway has a special design with barrier fencing between the Greenway and the tracks, and it's just, the Greenway is not complete yet, but when it's complete, when it's ready for use by everyone, it has that barrier fencing up, and that barrier fencing, of course, is a greater barrier than any barrier that's up against the sidewalk on our roadways. And just like you don't want to play in the street on Lebanon Road or Mount Juliet Road, you wanted to stay on the sidewalks. That's why we put greenways in place. That's why we put sidewalks in place, to give pedestrians a safe place to walk. And railroad tracks are just like a roadway. You don't want to walk or exercise on the railroad tracks.
Okay. Yeah, and Captain, you're right. I know that there was some feedback, and I get it, that because we're having a little bit more activity because of the Greenway. But anybody that's been here long, I've been here 30 years, and you guys have been here a long time as well. This has been an issue for a lot of years with folks that, even if it's little kids, no matter where you grew up in this country, if there was train tracks, we wanted to put pennies on them and let the trains run on, or we wanted to walk down the center. It's just something symbolic about it. Of course, yes, the Greenway's probably created a little bit more activity, but once that Greenway's finished, you're right, the train tracks are for the train. That's why it says train tracks, not pedestrian tracks. Just have to use some common sense and know not to be walking on the tracks. It's just not a play zone at any particular time. And so we think once that Greenway's open, hopefully this will stop anyone choosing to walk on the train tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think this Greenway is going to make it less people walking on the train
Right.
tracks. Because before it was even there, people would walk down the train tracks because they didn't want to walk along the roadway.
Right.
So the Greenway gives them a safe path to walk on without using the railroad tracks. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely add some safety enhancements for that area, for our pedestrians, for our bicyclists who would typically use the railroad tracks, but now they can use the Greenway to get around safely.
Yeah, a lot of folks don't realize that's part of why this area was picked, is because of the issue you just mentioned, that West Division was being used heavily, and the train tracks, because it's a straight stretch with a green spot in between. And the Greenway was specifically picked and partnered with the state and federal government with the rail. So we'll make it safe, and you guys will be out there patrolling it as well with your bike patrols. And
Right.
once it opens, that'll take care of itself.
Okay, great. So let's open it up for questions. Chief, I'll keep you on if you want to hang out with us. But if you have any questions about anything, just type that in, and we will try to get to it. Of course, there's a lot of positive comments just about what we do. This name, we all know the Bells in our community, and Jim Bell.
Fine man right there.
Yep.
Fine man. Hello, Mr. Bell.
And he just says, thanks for making Mount Juliet good and a safe place to live. And Mr. Bell has probably been in Mount Juliet longer than either of us here. So it's nice to see a comment from what I consider older Mount Juliet, and who were here originally when this town was founded. So thank you, Mr. Bell, for the comment. A question from Kim in Brookstone. They're across from the Greenway, and she's just curious, is there going to be a walkway from Brookstone over to the Greenway? Do we know if that design element's going to be there yet, or it's a future design element that's going to be considered?
Yeah, probably the best place to cross now is where we encourage people, ideally, of course, to drive to the Greenway trailhead, and enter that way. But if you are walking from your subdivision, probably the best places to cross would be at where some of the private drives cross, so you can pick it up at that point, and then of course make sure you're looking. But as far as the roadway itself, what we'll probably be doing is, since we can't put actual crosswalks across West Division Street, is we'll put some signage up encouraging motorists to be looking out for pedestrians. You've got that now with the bikes, bicycles,
Right.
pedestrians. You already have that in place. The only difference is, instead of going east and west on West Division, you'll probably have a little bit more traffic with people going north and south crossing it. So we'll be putting some signage up to help people get, to pay a little bit more attention. And I know the police department, if it gets to where it becomes an issue, the first thing we may do is maybe look at reducing some speed limits in that area if it becomes an issue.
Sure. Stephanie has the question here. Can you remind people what to do at a flashing yellow? People are so confused, and I've seen this with the new light going up at Northwest Rutland. It's yellow, and people are wanting to stop, and that's not what you're supposed to do. So a flashing yellow means caution, and you're supposed to continue flow through that intersection. And if it's flashing red, you're supposed to stop, just like at a stop sign, until you have a moment to exit onto the street, to move forward. So red simply means stop. And when it's clear, you can go. And then yellow means that you always have the right of way to proceed through. Some people stop at yellows, and it really creates a problem because the car behind you doesn't expect you to stop, and they almost rear end others that do that. So if it's yellow, just keep going through. And when there's a path, the folks who have the red light will proceed through that way.
Ken, can you cover also just real quick, like if the power goes completely out like we've endured recently, how folks should treat those intersections?
Yeah, good point. So if the power is completely out, then all points of entry into the intersection must stop. So if the power is out at a traffic signal for all directions, everyone must stop and then proceed when it's safe. You're basically supposed to treat it as a four-way stop intersection. Thank you. And Stephanie, thank you for the comment. Virginia here is asking, will West Division Street ever be widened? Is that on the radar right now, or is it something, I guess, in the future?
It is. It's into the future. Of course, everybody that knows that old road, and I bet Miss Virginia does, it was an old railroad bed. There used to be two competing rail lines, and that's why some people refer to it, instead of West Division, old railroad bed. It is in the future, but in all honesty, that would probably be several years down the road, just simply because of priorities of road projects.
Great. If you have any questions, just type those in. I'm here with City Manager Kenny Martin and Police Chief James Hambrick, and we are just here with Kenny's podcast and live stream, just here to answer any questions that you have. So if you have any, please type those in, and if you don't, we will likely end the broadcast. I see one from Julie here. What do you think of a grad party May 23rd, all outdoors at a private home? So, Julie, we're following the state of Tennessee, Governor Lee's safer, I think he's calling it now, Tennessee Pledge guidelines to be safe with COVID-19. And it all depends on the amount of people. So right now, 10 or more is not being supported through the guidelines, but 10 or less are. So I would watch the guidelines. There may be change by May 23rd, and you can get those updated guidelines at TennesseePledge.com from the governor on what to do in relation to any type of social event at someone's home. So let's see here. What else we got?
And Cam, I can probably elaborate on that as well. I agree. Follow the governor's orders, and
sure,
that's probably the most important thing, or not necessarily orders, but recommendations.
Right.
To keep you safe. I guess if someone did choose, I've been asked that same question, especially this time of year. And we want to give a shout out to all our graduates. We understand this has been the most unique of situations. I don't know that any graduating class has ever had to go through what these fine young men and women have.
Right.
If someone just genuinely wanted to have, and I'll ask you this, I know it may be I hope not put you on the spot in any way, sure. But if someone said, okay, but I just really want to have it, I've got 100 acres and I want to spread out and make sure that everybody's keeping social distance into place and wearing masks, could they have a gathering? And the only reason I ask is I was oddly enough asked that same question
Right.
today. Could you exceed that 10 if you had the distancing, sort of like what a restaurant does now, to where you can still have more people gathered in a social setting, but yet be safe?
Yeah, and I think that meets the guidelines of the governor. You know, there's different things here, and then if you add distancing and if you add face masks, you know, more stuff can happen with more people.
That's
But
that.
ultimately, these are just guidelines.
Sure.
You know, we talk about executive orders, but it isn't law. It's not a ordinance or anything that's enforceable. They're guidelines, and it's simply just they want people to use common sense to prevent the spread. And we know that this virus can spread with close contact with people, but if you put in certain measures to limit the contact that people have, such as distancing, such as mask if you have to, then I think you're able to do stuff like that. It's just a matter of ensuring that you're taking those precautions.
Exactly. So with that said, it seems like if they want to have a graduation ceremony at their home and invite friends and family and grandparents. I'll give an example. My granddaughter's birthday just passed here recently, and so we didn't get a chance to really celebrate it safely. So we've come up with situations, the weather's supposed to be good this weekend, where we can do it outside.
Right.
Grandparents and and family can get together, but then be very smart, especially around your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting older myself, so I definitely need to be safer. So to answer her question, you can get together, just be safe. Even though you're around loved ones, because you never know. We don't know if we're positive, if we're negative, if we've got something on our clothing. So be smart, space out, social distance, and you should be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeping those in the proper protocols in order of just the good hygiene of washing your hands, doing those things that are necessary to help quell everything that's going on.
Yeah, this goes everywhere. Some version of Germ-X or hand sanitizers everywhere I go. It's in my car door on both my cars I drive. I have a small bottle for my pocket, and I'm constantly sanitizing my hands. And I think that's one of the best things we can do is constantly wash your hands, constantly sanitize, have access to that hand sanitizer for yourself. And we're thankful as a police department because we've had a lot of organizations donate this stuff to us. We can keep our officers safe. So all of you have donated to us as a police department. Thank you so much for all of that. Going to Richard Brown, he mentioned something about retail and restaurants, but his main question is, what about basketball courts? And Richard, with close contact sports, there's still no guidance on when that can open back up, because if you think about basketball, if you think about volleyball and close contact, there's really no way to distance yourself. So we don't have an idea. And Kenny, I don't know if you do, about when stuff like that would open up. I haven't seen any guidance with close contact sports just yet. They're still recommending all that stays limited and doesn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. From what I'm gathering, at least through June 30th right now. Now, if you want to do pickleball or tennis, because you're usually one person on each side of the net, things like that are okay. But we've got our community center; it's still closed because of basketball. And of course, volleyball is closed as well, including the one that's on Mount Juliet Road. So you're exactly right on that, Captain.
Yeah, and I spoke with Willoughby Station earlier today with their pools, and the state of Tennessee closed all their public pools that are ran by the state, but that doesn't close neighborhood pools. And what Willoughby is doing as a neighborhood with their board is they reduce their capacity so everyone could stay distanced. And they have a plan in place to sanitize all the different chairs at the pool. So they reduce their capacity from 100% to 36%. They put in place distancing and they put in place disinfection measures at their pool. And that's how they're going to reopen at the end of this month in Willoughby. So that's just an example of what local neighborhoods are doing with their different amenities that they have. So thank you, Richard, for that question.
And one of the other things for the parents that's got their little ones at home right now, I know a lot of these kids are being out of school and things of that nature. The moms and dads have been spending a lot of time with their kids. I've been thinking on something, and if I can get Captain Chandler, or maybe even the chief and Travis Taylor to participate, we might have a little special thing to do at some point in the future on one of these broadcasts for the kids, to where the kids can join in.
Absolutely.
Get a kick out of asking some questions of some characters that they recognize, not necessarily these characters, but other characters that we sometimes play. Those two guys on the screen right there, they play superheroes every day, but they also are known to play other characters like McGruff and Woody and Buzz and other things. We might be able to do something at some point in the future for the kids that I think we'd all enjoy and the kids would love.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely bring any stuff in here that we can bring kids to.
Yeah.
An interesting question from Eric. He says, if we three could pick any superpower, what would that be? So, Chief, what would your superpower be?
Man, I got to think on it. I got to go defer to the city manager, man.
Well, I tell you, I see Eric there. Eric is my barber, and that's one heck of a guy. He's a wonderful family man, and he owns the Revolution Barber there in Valley Center. His wife is absolutely awesome, and he's got a beautiful daughter. If I had a superpower, is that what the question was?
That's the question. What would it be?
It would be to have healing powers to heal the world, to heal anybody of any ailment or any sickness. That would be mine.
Yeah, that's a hard one to beat.
Yeah.
It's a good one to have. So, Eric, I don't think my superpower could beat Kenny's. So we will leave it with that.
Yeah, that'd be the best thing. I hate seeing anybody suffer, and I hate seeing people to lose loved ones. And but Eric, thank you for what you do out there, my friend. I remember when him and his precious wife opened their business. They did it on a hope and a prayer, and they invested everything they've got in it, and they've been extremely successful. So I'm very happy for them.
Great. Thank you, Eric, for the question and fun involved. Let's see.
Oh, I recognize that car.
Yeah, Bob O'Neill there. He says he has the utmost respect for all three of us. So, Bob, we appreciate that. Bob
Appreciate it, Bob.
Is a local business owner, but he's also one of our reserve police officers. So he is one of those guys and or gals that come out with our reserve program and serve and protect for free, risk their life for free. And we appreciate, Bob, all that you do for us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bob.
Well, Tina's chiming in again. And Tina, we appreciate the kind words.
We love Miss Tina as well.
Yes.
And she is our mayor of the Green Hill district of Mount Juliet. She's going to keep Green Hill High School on lockdown as it's across the street from her local business. So thank you, Tina, for joining in the kind words.
Hey, she should be happy. Look, I've changed my display in the back, and I've got a few other helmets back there. I've got Alabama back there.
Okay, that's right up her alley.
Yeah, Kentucky there for Miss Sheila. See, so I've got her in there. I was thinking about her.
I think you have them all covered for our area: LSU, Tennessee, Alabama, and Kentucky. So good one there, Kenny. Your helmet collection is mighty
coming in handy,
extensive, and very, very neat. Very neat. So, Chief, do you have anything to add before we end this?
I was just going to ask city manager, and many of the viewers probably won't even know what I'm talking about. But man, do you have any Harold Ray back in the background?
I do. I got Harry Ray, and the Harry Ray is going to have an old joke from way back years ago. There's a group called Ray Goodman and Brown. They had a beautiful song, so if anybody ever wants to play it. And James came over to my house one time, and I had a cassette, and it was in my collection of cassettes. And he said, well, who in the world is Harry Ray? And so James and I have a real neat story about that, and it's funny, and I'll never forget that, James. But I love these two guys that's on the screen here. They're absolutely phenomenal. I want to thank you guys for blessing our community. I know Travis is not on here, but I want to thank Travis for everything he does. We are extremely blessed out here, and I know a lot of the times, again, this sounds butchy, but the people that serve you out here, this is really the way they feel. They're human beings. They're enduring the same things that our citizens are doing, but we strive to do nothing but the best for them, and we don't always please, and we don't always reach that goal that we want to, but we're trying every day, and I encourage you to hang in there because there's some very exciting things coming, probably in the coming weeks. And they may seem small, but we hope that they accomplish a lot of things through a lot of people. For example, our general store and the swings and things of that nature. When we first put those out there, even park benches, they were kidding me about, hey, when's the bus coming through? Because, but now you see people utilize them because we're trying to encourage people to get out and be more social and walk places rather than always taking an automobile. So our citizens are in store for some really good things. So if there's a bit of good hope, just know that it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go ahead and end this. Thank you all for joining this live broadcast. If you can, share it on your Facebook page so all your friends and our other residents in the community and business owners see this. We would love for more people to join in during this interactive update that our city manager, Kenny Martin, does weekly for the community. So everyone, have a great weekend. Please stay safe, and we will all see you next week. Thank you so much.
Appreciate